right, so what I'm going to do is break it down to the 9 things that I've sort of observed in my time living in the Raleigh-Durham area that absolutely drive me crazy, that might keep you from moving to the Triangle. Number 1 is the last thing, which is usually the biggest thing that's brought up, so make sure you stay tuned to the end for that. Hey, and welcome back to my channel, friends. I'm Jared with the Ease group over at eXp Realty, and I've put this channel together to help those folks that are looking at the real estate landscape in the Triangle area to help them better understand and to navigate as efficiently as they possibly. So we'll kick it off with number 9 on the list, and that's an obvious one. That's going to be the heat, or the humidity rather. Here in the Triangle, it doesn't get as hot as, say, a Texas or a Florida, but it does get very humid. Now, most of the year the weather's great, but I'm not going to give you the sugar-coated version. There are times of the year where it gets really, really tough. I spend quite a bit of time outside touring homes, and I've got friends and family that work outside primarily, and they tell me all the time how hard it really gets when things get so muggy out. And like I said, it doesn't happen all the time. It's mainly concentrated in that late July through end of August period. Now, of course, it's going to get hot. And here in the Triangle, when it's cold, it's cold. But during the spring and into early summer, and then again in the fall and into midwinter, the weather here is actually really, really nice. You've got 7 months or so of amazing weather. But if you can't handle the humidity, the Triangle area may not be for you, because it does get difficult from time to time. Now, coming in at number 8 is the bugs. I've been practicing real estate in the area for almost a decade now. And one thing about the Triangle, there are termites. This is North Carolina. They're here. Over the years, I've helped a lot of clients, and one thing I make sure to stress is that they make sure to get a termite inspection. Absolutely. Now, if the home that you choose is clear of termites, perfect. But once you get those keys, you want to make sure that you stay on top of routine maintenance, because the last thing you want is a termite infestation. Because if that's left unattended, you can almost guarantee that you're going to have termites in the home to some degree. Now, let's say you get the termites under control, which most folks can easily do. You've still got to worry about the ants. My kids are into track and field, so we spend lots of time at outdoor facilities. And while we're out there, one thing that you've got to be careful of is those ants, because if you're not paying attention, they will absolutely get you. So if you've got kids that like to spend a lot of time outside, or you like to enjoy the outdoors, that's just one more thing that you've got to keep in mind. And let's say, cool, you can handle lining up an exterminator, and you can keep an eye out for the ants. Well, in North Carolina, we also have mosquitoes. And I'm talking about those aggressive, tiny, flying little vampires that are out to get you. And the more that you look at different homes in the area, you'll notice that lots of houses here have screened-in porches. So folks can actually enjoy being outside while having that buffer. And they've got all sorts of other little things that you can use. One thing I like is called thermocells, and you can find them pretty much anywhere, like on Amazon. They're these little things that you plug in, and some of them are portable, but you can't smell them, and they don't make any noise or anything. I like to use them when I'm sitting on the front porch because it's not enclosed. And my wife, on the other hand, likes to use these little stickers called Natural Patch. And they work pretty well too. She just sticks them on the kids whenever they go outside to play. So if bugs, mosquitoes, things like that drive you crazy, you might not want to settle in the Triangle area, because we definitely have those, but things like that can be mitigated for sure. Number 7. If you can't stand mid-sized cities, don't come to the Triangle. If you're looking for that non-stop, never sleep environment, you won't likely find that in Raleigh, Durham, or Chapel Hill. It's slowly catching up, but it's nowhere close to being on the level of a DC or an LA or an Atlanta. Now, don't get me wrong, there are lots of people here. And with Raleigh consistently landing on list after list of the top places in the country to move to, it's growing at a crazy rate. But it's not quite on that level yet, and it is a different pace. But I will say that the people that love it here like it because there is lots to do. For pro sports, you've got the Carolina Hurricanes, and Canes fans always seem to enjoy watching them play. But this is absolutely college sports country. So you can find a diehard Carolina, Duke, or NC State fan anywhere you look. And there's always a show coming to the area that you can catch. And you've got all sorts of bars and pubs downtown, and just pick any of the local restaurants. But the big thing about the Triangle is that you'll look and you'll see the larger Raleigh and Durham, and there's a bit going on there, absolutely. But north, south, east, and west of those areas, you have these smaller suburbs that are really great, and that's truly where the living is. These little pockets have their own character and their own vibes. Some people will look at a map and they'll point out Raleigh and they'll say, hey, that's where we want to move to. That's typically not what happens. It's usually one of those suburbs of Raleigh, like Morrisville or Cary or Wake Forest or Nightdale, that they'll end up settling in, for example. So understanding your lifestyle and what you want to be close to is so important, because moving to this area can be a difficult thing to do. And that's why I built this YouTube page, to help those people that are considering moving here. You give us a call, we figure out what's important, and then we put together what it is that you need, and then maybe give you 3 or 4 other places that you may have never even heard of that fit what you need. But if you need that certified metropolitan level of living, you do not want to move to the Raleigh area. Number 6, hurricanes. You may have seen it on the news at some point, and North Carolina kind of juts out a little bit from the eastern coastline. So anytime there's a tropical storm, we seem to bear the brunt of most of those storms. Now, the Triangle area specifically is located a little bit inland, so we don't really get as much damage as the coast or the Outer Banks would normally get. But from time to time, it does get pretty bad here. So if things like that worry you, it is a real deal thing. Hurricane season here technically starts in June and runs through November. And not to say that it happens all the time, but it does happen. And the closer to the coast you are, the more you seem to be affected. Down that way, entire neighborhoods have been destroyed and streets have been flooded. I mean, you've seen the news reports. Here, we may see some targeted areas flood, and the primary damage that you'll usually come across are downed trees, or the power may be out for a few days at most. So to prep, it's always good to have water, flashlights, batteries, and sometimes even a generator. You'll see some homeowners here have those whole house generators for that exact reason. So if hurricanes are an absolute no-go, then you may not want to consider the Raleigh-Durham area, because some of the damage and inconveniences are hard to completely avoid. Coming in at number 5, it's the people. This is still the South, so speaking is not optional, and most people expect to be acknowledged in passing. If you don't speak or acknowledge when you see someone, you might be seen as being rude. And it doesn't have to be a full-on conversation. It could be as simple as a wave or a head nod. But it's not uncommon for a complete stranger to wave at you while you're riding down the street in these suburbs. I've had friends come from other places to visit, and they'll think it's a bit weird that people will wave to you without even knowing you, or they'll start a conversation like they're familiar with you already. It's just a part of the culture here. Folks speak. So if you're not the type to speak, you might not want to consider the Triangle area. We've got just a few more here. Look, if you're enjoying the video and it's helping you a lot, comment below and let us know some things about the Raleigh-Durham area, and we'll shoot some videos on those too. What are some of the things that scare you about the Raleigh-Durham area? Go ahead and drop those in the comments. All right, so we have 4 more. If you can't handle property taxes, the Raleigh-Durham area may not be for you. Yes, property taxes are everywhere, so they're hard to completely avoid. But you'll find that in the Triangle, there are certain areas that have higher property taxes than others. So let's say when you're looking for a home and you've been given a pre-approval for a certain amount, taking in consideration the local taxes in the area can make a difference on which homes might be better suited for you. Because if that home is at the high end of your budget, those property taxes play a factor in your loan approval. So you want to make sure that you stay within budget when you're planning on purchasing a home. And that's what we do. We have these conversations with our clients because we know these areas in and out. And in some cases, we can save you thousands of dollars just because we're familiar with the local tax rates in a specific area compared to another area. It can be a little thing like that that can deeply affect your numbers. And it's not terrible. There are absolutely other places in the country that have higher tax rates than our area. But if property taxes drive you nuts and you're looking for low property taxes, the Triangle area may not be the perfect fit for you. Coming in at number 3, it's too spread out. What I tend to hear from people that visit or move to the area is that things here are just way too spread out. I guess they may be used to things being within walking distance or a really, really short drive. But when folks here say something is just around the corner, that could be 5 minutes away or 25 minutes away. Down the street can easily mean a quick 15-minute drive. For example, there aren't a lot of neighborhoods here that have corner stores or shopping within the neighborhood. Now, there are a few that do, though, so that's why it's important to have these conversations. These conversations are valuable when you have an expert in the area that can help you focus on what you want to have convenient access to. We've got some great greenways and walking trails, lots of shopping, But to get to where you're going to, you're gonna need to drive. A lot of folks here commute to work, and that commute can be 30 minutes to an hour, depending on where it is that you choose to settle. So if you're not used to the average drive being between 10 to 15 minutes or more, it can get a little bit aggravating, and the triangle may not be where you want to settle. Number 2 is the highway construction. If you've been here for some time and you do any decent amount of driving, you'd be familiar with how much construction they're doing consistently on our highway. It is absolutely nothing for a major exit to be shut down for months, or 3 to 4 lanes of a major highway to be completely closed while they're working on the road. But that all comes with the growth of the area. They're doing a lot right now to reinforce the infrastructure because so many people are moving to the area on a consistent basis. So they got to take these measures to accommodate that rate of growth. But it does get a bit aggravating and takes some getting used to. It feels like it's unending because it seems that they're always working on one of the major roads here. But on the flip side, and one thing's for sure, the road quality here is actually really great. There may be a few that you have to be mindful not to tear your suspension up on, but on the whole, the road quality here is pretty good. But if highway construction or work zones isn't something you can handle, you might not want to settle in the triangle area. Now, we've made it all the way through to the number one reason. The number one reason why you might want to avoid the Raleigh-Durham area is because of the pollen. It might not seem like a big deal, but let me just show you a picture that the local news station shares every year. This is a shot of a pollen cloud across the Raleigh skyline. It's no joke. When pollen season hits, it hits the triangle. And if you got really bad allergies, it can get very, very tough. I see a lot of my clients struggling in early spring. And when I say early, it's usually sometime in February that pollen levels are really starting to be noticeable. And the thing is, there's no way around it. You can get certain things that can help you with the allergies, but this stuff gets everywhere outside. There's a good 3 to 4 week period when it doesn't even make sense to get your car washed. Because if you leave it outside for at least an hour, it's completely coated. So if you can't do pollen and you know it's going to drive you nuts, you may not want to consider the Raleigh-Durham area. There you go. Those are your 9 reasons why you may not want to move to the Triangle area. But if these are not so bad and the Triangle is your jam, you got to reach out. We can unearth why you're moving here, your lifestyle, what you need, what you want to be close to, because the number one thing that's going to make living here terrible is if you move to the wrong area, and then you're going to want to leave. But if you find the right spot, you're going to absolutely love it in the Triangle. But the only way to do that is you got to reach out. You got to give us a call or a quick text and we can get you rolling. And I'll drop my info in the details below. We've got your back when it comes to moving in and around the Triangle market. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.